destroy is illogical, not to the story, because the point of it is to stop the Reapers, but rather how the destroy option is shown and explained. The catalyst says the cycle of destruction solution won't work anymore, and that they have to find a new solution. But instead of the two having an argument on how to do so, the catalyst gives Shepard a few options. It tells Shepard that through the Crucible that Shepard and only Shepard have it within their power to destroy all synthetic life, including the Reapers. Even though the catalyst is the most intelligent and powerful being in existence, even though it should be the most qualified to make any choice of this scale, it sees nothing wrong with itself being destroyed and having all that it has been done over the eons be eliminated, all because the Crucible changed them in some way. Why it would allow this, we don't know. Think of it like introducing a character that says, "I'm God, your magical plot device changed me, I'm just not going to show or explain how or why, plus you can kill me and others like me and everything I've done." The catalyst states that choosing to destroy all synthetic life will not stop organics from building synthetics again, which, by the catalyst's opinion, would destroy such organics, and thus everything the catalyst has done up to this point will be for naught. Considering we have a device now that destroys all synthetics in the galaxy, I don't see how that'll ever be a problem, since if anything should happen, we could always just build another Crucible and refine the process, because that's how technology works. It's like saying, because someone opened a door, destroying myself and everything I've done for eons, even though I know it won't solve the problem I set out to solve, it still sounds like a viable plan. So, to initiate destroy, Shepard walks up to the right platform and shoots a glass tube called Power Conduit. How will shooting a power conduit destroy all synthetic life and some of its technology, you might ask? Well, we don't know. How is destroying a power conduit of the Crucible, which is just a primitive power source, able to destroy all Reapers? Doesn't something or some sort of network packet storing a format command have to be programmed and then sent out? How is breaking a power conduit of a complex device cause the magical mega space router to send out a magic metaphysical signal that bypasses matter and can identify compiled AI software? Is everything written in binary? Did the catalyst or the scientist working on the Crucible design this red cylinder to break, so that's what it's supposed to do? What we do know of the Crucible is if we scan the planet Elitania, which is in the Hercules or Attican Beta cluster, we can get a war asset called the interferometric array. It states, installing the interferometric array into the Crucible systems results in a real-time map of the entire galaxy, including the position of each and every Reaper in the Milky Way. Wow! So, if the Crucible had this installed, that means either the scientist who built the Crucible disabled it or didn't use it, the catalyst disabled it, or these two didn't read their own lore. I'll leave that up for you to decide. With the interferometric array, the extended cut would have made the destroy ending the thing everyone wanted. Stop the Reapers and only the Reapers. Would have come about by having high enough EMS, a random search on some planet in some part of the galaxy, and BioWare could have even kept the catalyst scene, and everything would have worked out. Well, aside from Mass Effect being a trilogy where your choices matter over 3 games, which make a difference to its ending. Aside from this being a third-person shooter and the heads-up display telling us a name and a target showing the player it's something to shoot, how does Shepard know we need to shoot this thing, and that'll initiate whatever it's supposed to do? I thought there would be another room to enter through the glass room, like a button to press. When talking to the catalyst, we see some sort of vision of Anderson shooting it, and we can only assume that's the catalyst beaming this directly into Shepard's brain, or else Shepard wouldn't know. But if the catalyst can do that, why would they A, let Shepard even consider this option since it leads to its destruction, and B, bother with conversation in the first place if it can read minds and knows what Shepard's going to think and thus do? Telepathic God doesn't need to reveal themselves in a story. All it has to do was change or be changed by this weird alien device on its doorstep and read some insect's brain a floor below, and then make the best decision with their godlike intelligence. If they wanted to have a non-determined rudimentary conversation with the insect about finding a new solution, well, it would have actually discussed solutions because it couldn't think or predict of such solutions and would need to talk to the ant. It certainly wouldn't have recommended the destroy option that eradicates billions of years of its work, especially when, by its understanding, doesn't even solve the problem or of the synthetics destroying organics. This conversation and giving Shepard the option to destroy itself and all it's done makes no sense. Mass Effect 3's Destroy ending is not how you tell a story of a telepathic, immortal, techno-superintelligence hive-mind god who, in trying to find a new solution in preserving organic life from synthetic life, will allow a third party to kill themselves and its creations called Reapers, which it previously thought were created to preserve life, yet admits doing so will not solve the problem. Because if nothing explains what changed the catalyst or what was wrong with the cycle of destruction and how this thing screws everything up, then the entire existence of the Reapers, the Catalyst, and the Crucible has no meaning. Instead of providing a platform or interface for Shepard to interact with, they simply walk up to this tube and fire their infinite ammo gun. I think this has meaning because it's a third-person shooter, but why the lore-breaking infinite ammo gun had to exist? All for a scene with Tim which didn't need infinite ammo, and on the possibility that the player would destroy some magical canister with red stuff inside it and have really bad aim and just keep firing? Couldn't they just press the action button when they got close, or just let Shepard carry the gun and not let the player fire it randomly, or just let Shepard holster the gun? So Shepard walks toward the explosion even though they have a ranged weapon, because getting point blank against a glass tube that's exploding really ensures it's really going to do something else aside from break. Apparently Shepard loves explosions regardless of physical injury. Isn't it fantastic how everything Renegade can be solved with a gun, including the ending? During this shooting time, we get more appropriate flashbacks of those who died. In this case, since we've actually killed Edie in the process, she pops up after Anderson and then the actual love interest, if such existed. So this was a notable fix. However, in some cases, it'll show this. So I don't know how this happens, but what Thane has to do with destroying all synthetic life, I'm not sure. I'm assuming Shepard didn't talk to Edie enough and thus didn't have much influence in defining her personality. Who knows? Anyway, in some games, it provides appropriate meaning for what the story is showing us. Our actions are killing our friends, and that Shepard is thinking of those that matter most. That's a good thing, provided these are actually Shepard's visions and not the Catalyst beaming these ideas into Shepard's brain. Well, whenever or however you have a godlike character that can play around with the hero's brain, things get messy. No, no, no. Admiral Hackett suggests everyone go to the rendezvous point after the Crucible is armed. I'm not sure why. In one of the worst low EMS destroy endings, if most of your crew is dead, Joker will get his shoulder pushed by no one and say this.
Damn it.
I think we're missing a conversation here where someone convinces our ever-faithful pilot to stay, like our ever-faithful Turian. Because having your two most loyal friends still leave you, even if one isn't around to tell the other to go, yeah, that still makes sense. So, a low EMS scene blows away Big Ben, and the two soldiers hiding behind rocks get instantly incinerated, but the rocks don't. Why would a damaged Crucible destroy people yet bypass rocks? Does the non-corporeal explosion turn itself off and on? The Reaper collapses, and then we see this incredibly huge, world-wrecking wave explosion, which must have originated from Londonish. Is this magical fire? Is this a scene of Eastern Canada getting burned over? The Catalyst did say,
all technology and those who rely on synthetic technology for their survival will be lost, yourself included. Your ships, weapons, even the relays will be destroyed. Your worlds will be in ruin.
Complete with beaming those images into Shepard's brain, along with this.
And you have no choice. You must release the energy of the Crucible to end the cycle. The path is open. There is only one way ahead. Our future depends on you.
Or you could just go away and leave everyone alone, or kill all your Reapers in any other numerous ways and not blow up the galaxy. Anyway, if this massive planetary explosion targets organic life, that sort of makes sense, but it seems to just miss the Atlantic Ocean entirely. It just skims right over it. Looks like the entire continent's become charred husks, so how did a bunch of rocks and rubble not get pulverized, but just bypass an entire ocean? This explosion is hundreds of miles in diameter, charring the ground, but misses large bodies of water and can't knock away a 4-foot tall rock. In high EMS, just the Reaper in the background falls over. Great. All these dead Reapers are still set to indoctrinate the planet. In low EMS, Bob over here is fighting an army of jacks, and he's getting overwhelmed trying to protect his buddy. And then I realized an analogy. These are the fans who think everything's okay. Yep, they're still screaming. Mass Effect 3's ending is still good. I still like it. The extended cut made it all better, while a magical wave of confusion destroys everything they've ever done or thought. The high EMS has Bob fighting off an army of jacks as well, and is an analogy of the fan who realizes, oh my god, they fixed nothing. The big magical wave of confusion goes across the battlefield, and magically the jacks are gone, and he's standing around with his buddy, now more lost than before. Regardless of high or low EMS, this scene has no value and was only created because the Control and Synthesis extended cut scenes had Jack and his crew run away in Control, and then that other ending which showed the two views of the inside of their brains, which is always green. In both high and low EMS scores, the Citadel breaks into pieces and the red energy beam gets shot out to the Charon relay. In high EMS, the rings of the relay only blow up, leaving the rest of the relay intact. In low EMS, the entire relay ruptures and explodes, thus destroying the entire solar system, because that's what happens when mass relays get destroyed, which makes the whole Earth-charged wasteland explosion moot. We then see the futuristic scene of the Milky Way, whose light is hitting our eyes after who knows how many 100,000 light years. Again, high EMS means you're destroying the relays, low EMS means you're destroying the galaxy. We then see Joker in a Mass Effect corridor trying to outrun an explosion. High EMS, it somehow managed to do so. Physics, lore, I have no idea. And it looks just fine as it avoids the impending explosion, while in low EMS, a thruster from the Normandy gets torn off, and the ship looks like it's rupturing and then a cut to black. More importantly, this was the scene where Edie dies. Not exactly much of an epilogue with Edie, but who cares about Edie, right? That AI who became a person and undertook more character development than our protagonist, an actual face and voice we can put to the synthetic versus organic theme to prove the catalyst wrong. Yeah, you killed her. But you didn't see that because it's not important. We then have our random planet again, which isn't a charred husk, even if the catalyst said it would have been. I don't know, maybe a low EMS game caused the Normandy to shed some of its plot armor to absorb the magical red wave to keep this planet intact. Then you have to ask, why would a high EMS Normandy crash land on a planet when it magically escaped the red magic explosion? Did the explosion catch up with the Normandy when it exited the corridor? How would the Normandy escape the entire galaxy if it knew it was coming? Where was this rendezvous point exactly, and where are the other ships? Did Joker just freak out and go his own way, trying to save the Normandy? So, low EMS means we don't get to see people exiting the slightly ruptured Normandy, while high EMS shows us those who do, except Edie, of course, because you killed her. Doesn't that hissing door sound and cut to black scene just make you want to replay the entire series all over just to see what you missed, or what different colored ending you wanted to choose next? So, somehow in low EMS, Hackett's still alive while he was on the Crucible, and he gives a sad little speech about how everyone fought every battle and did everything they could, and that they held nothing back. When in reality, none of that mattered. It was just Shepard and the Crucible. This is while we see a picture of a disabled Alliance dreadnought. Was Hackett on that ship? I thought the low EMS scene of the Crucible docking implied Hackett was on the Crucible. Maybe he escaped the rendezvous point in this thing, but how did he survive? I thought the rendezvous point was just somewhere in the solar system, which we know was destroyed. Well, okay, he's alive. We then see another Bob looking like Soldier. I don't think it's Bob because we know Bob got killed, and this guy has less facial hair, I think. They look fairly close, and I gotta ask why they couldn't just pick another noticeably different looking head. Anyway, it goes to credits. In high EMS, Hackett's speech is a bit longer. It shows ships just flying right next to a disabled mass relay for some reason. I guess they were all going somewhere and just decided to all just fly by it information, even though they already knew that the relay stopped working. Weren't they headed to the rendezvous point, which we still don't know where that was? Wasn't it through the Charon relay? If it wasn't, then was the Normandy still in the Sol system? It could be, because other ships left earlier, but they must have gotten to the rendezvous point before the Normandy, so were these stragglers? Were Assuming this scene is just to show us the relays weren't blown up, well, part of the end of the relay was broken off, but it raises even more questions. Another problem is, this isn't the Charon relay because the sun is way too big. So what relay is this? Here's a map of Mass Effect 2, and we see the relay is further from the sun than Pluto. Pluto is roughly 3.67 trillion miles away from the sun. Here's a measurement of what the sun would look like from Pluto. You can't see the thing. We know the BioWare team can't read their own writing, but you think they could at least do a Google search. Well, if this actually isn't the Sol system, then we have to assume that this is another part of the galaxy and that the rendezvous point was through the Charon relay somewhere, and they and the Normandy got through. We then go into slideshow mode.
Now, as we take our first steps toward restoring what we lost, we must remember what it took to win.
A Deus Ex Machina device and a Mass Effect 1 pistol. War assets optional.
This wasn't a victory by a single fleet, a single army, or even a single species.
Yeah, it was by a Deus Ex Machina device that existed over the eons, designed by ants, with another Deus Ex Machina device that existed over the eons who couldn't fathom of the concept of the Duracell made by the ants, and needed an ant to fire a gun with infinite ammo to break something to make that same thing work.
If this war has taught us anything, it is that we are at our strongest when we work together.
That was a theme? How is being our strongest when we work together shown to us in the story? You might argue the meta of replaying the game to get a higher EMS, but no. The war taught us that our choices are meaningless. Play the game with the lowest or highest EMS, everything gets accomplished. The Crucible is always built, and always works. Go, get a low EMS destroy ending. There's not much difference. Organics prevail. Somehow. In fact, the opposite is true. Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3 showed us that you have to try really hard to fail.
And if we can put down our grievances long enough to stop something as powerful as the Reapers, imagine what we can achieve now that they are defeated.
How about some good writing?
It will take time, but we can rebuild everything that was destroyed.
Does that include evolved Reaper sex bots? I don't think BioWare has completely cornered the market on horny teenagers.
Our homes, our worlds, our fleets and defenses, all of this and more.
Yeah, way to toe the military line there, Hackett. Yeah, we need even more fleets and defenses right after winning a massive Reaper war. Can't wait to expect our alien Krogan friends to come try and kill us while the timing's right?
Together, we can build a future greater than any one of us could imagine.
When does this scene take place? You certainly repaired the extremely blown-up Citadel quickly and figured out the magic of the space elevator, which I'm assuming is pointing to London? Isn't that kind of like building a train station through Auschwitz concentration camps? Yeah, let's turn that space elevator back on, where the humans were being butchered and then sent to be processed into cybernetic abominations. Yeah, that's a great idea. A horrific memorial to remind us of our bloody past, yet functional. And why would the Citadel Council allow this? Earth seems to be back in order. Why not use a fully repaired Citadel and send it to other planets? I bet a space station and its resources, including a space elevator, would be pretty helpful in rebuilding other places. We then get a cutscene of Legion, Thane, and Mordin because they're dead. And the memorial wall scene on the Normandy. Edie's name is already added to the list. The love interest goes to place Shepard's name on the wall, and instead of doing so, they all look up at the ceiling. Why? Is this a cultural thing that spans the galaxy? Why is this different than the Control or Synthesis endings? How would they know Shepard died in those endings, but not this? And please don't answer that, you green network hive-minded freak. I thought Tali was looking at something on the ceiling, but since the fighting's over, she's all chilled out?
Fighters! 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 Fighters!
However, BioWare staffer Tully Ackland on the BSN explained this. This is meant to suggest that the love interest is not ready to believe Shepard is dead, and the final scene reveals they are correct. As the Normandy lifts off, there is hope that the love interest and Shepard will again be together. And why they have this feeling in only this ending? Space magic. The Normandy that was never broken or damaged flies off, and then we get our Shepard who never wore a dog tag like this before, who was apparently on the Crucible, which was on the Citadel, which blew up into so many pieces and then repaired in the future in our 2D slideshow, but now we're back in the present. Shepard is somehow A, on the Citadel and its rubble taking a breath, or B, got to Earth and took a breath. Or this is some other N7 like Susan Rizzi or Lee Riley, which wouldn't make any sense or have any significance. For all we know, this could be a Conrad Werner fan or a fan like Conrad Werner, and they've just made up their own N7 dog tag, because we know dog tags from N7s don't look like this. This is an incomplete scene, and it is not how you do subtlety. In order to take something out, you must first put something in. Just because you can leave several scenes out and only show the result does not mean what is there is deductive. In this case, the audience needs quite a few clues to deduce how A got to F for both Shepard and the love interest. The only thing that we understand with Shepard is they're injured, walked into an explosion, with a damaged suit, with no helmet, inside a device that caused the destruction of the Citadel, that they were somewhere, somehow on. The cutscene of the destruction of the Citadel happens in every ending. We don't even know how they're breathing in their conversation with Anderson or the Catalyst, let alone where they are. This isn't like the end of the first game where a window breaks. We're in La La Land. Physics are gone, and so are entire scenes. We cannot connect Shepard shooting the canister to whatever this breathing scene is. For the love interest, they just looked at the ceiling. Was a different destroy energy signal sent out that they somehow interpreted some way? Was there any kind of communication that was different from the low EMS destroy or a control signal? I have no idea. BioWare could have done a montage of scenes of Shepard falling, struggling amidst rubble, running, crawling despite being near death, maybe finding an escape pod in the Crucible, or the rooms of the Citadel moving or shifting around magically, or even the Catalyst trying to protect Shepard, and then Shepard jumping for cover, like diving to get to the Citadel beam, or maybe to go safely back to Earth. Or a series of quick cuts interlaced with all those black and white scenes of colleagues that they were thinking of, showing Shepard's determination to keep going for his friends, to see them again, to ensure they're okay, screaming out their loved one's name like in the Mass Effect 2 trailer. Ellie! It doesn't even have to be completely pragmatic. It could just be emotional, for dramatic effect. Even though I'd have a problem with that, at least it's something for us to connect this, and however, wherever this is. And then Buzz says,
Damn it, I'm hit! Steve! I'm alright!
You sure?
But I won't be picking you up. I gotta land this bird quick.
Get safe.
Anything for